I thought we would get started. Sarah, do you have your coffee?
I already had my coffee at 5 o'clock
You're
this morning.
you're fueled and fired and ready to go.
hmm On the daily, yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to chit chat with us. I think this is a pretty cool series that we have going here, and I enjoy speaking to each and every one of you and, getting to know you better and getting to find out, what makes you tick and, the whole nine yards. So let's get started. So Sarah, let's talk about why you got into the business. Can you give us a little bit of your background?
Sure. So I've been in the business, I think, about 5 years now. My father has always had investment properties. So I grew up mowing the lawns of, apartments and, homes in the city and, doing the cleaning when tenants moved out and all that stuff. When I graduated from RIT, I ended up just getting a job at Xerox, just a random job at Xerox, but it happened to be in the real estate group. So I did real estate at Xerox for about 7 years. And when I got bored, I moved on to the purchasing group. So I've been doing basically real estate and contracting forever.
Okay.
And about 7 years ago, I had been talking about getting my license, and my wife basically told me that you either need to stop talking about getting your license or you need to just shut up and go get your license because I can't take it anymore. So I had waited for the nights and weekends class, so I didn't have to take time off of work to do it. And they finally offered it. I don't even know what year it is now, but the fall of something. So I took the class, I got licensed, and I did Xerox and this Xerox full-time and this part-time for about 3 years. And October of 2018, this got to a point where I was too busy and I was having a hard time managing deals and managing my family and managing a full-time job at the same time. So I asked Xerox to let me go.
Okay.
So I've been doing this full-time for about a year and a half.
Okay. All right.
But
In
yeah.
hindsight, that's a good choice because I think I have other friends that worked for Xerox and, people are getting laid off and let go and so on and so forth. So.
Yeah, they were going to let me go or I was going to go. So if I could save somebody else that wanted to stay and I had a backup plan, I was going to go and just take the opportunity, get a little bit of money and get going.
Yep.
It was a little challenging kicking off doing this full time, November 1st. So the first 6 months were pretty rough. But I think probably in the spring of the following year, things really started picking up and I actually started making money. So that's a plus.
Gotcha. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So has it always been Keller Williams for you or were you somewhere else first?
Nope, always Keller Williams. So Susan Glenn's actually lives in my neighborhood. I know her from being part of our neighborhood association. So Susan is the one that, when I was talking about getting my license, had mentioned Keller Williams, and I think it was Jamie Federez that was there is the team lead. So I went to talk to him and it seemed like a really nice fit for me. And when I had initially started, I wasn't making any money. So my goal was really to have kind of low costs on a monthly basis and, access to technology and things because I don't really do paper, even though I came from a paper company. So Keller Williams seemed to be a good bet for me.
Very
And yeah,
nice.
I've been happy and I've stayed ever since.
Very nice. So, okay, so you found yourself doing this November 1st, right? Full time, I believe is what you just said. So how did you overcome the, the fear or what practices did you put into place, to keep you checked in, to keep you focused on, I'm going to make this work, things like that. So what kinds of things did you find yourself falling upon?
Well, I was going to run out of money in April, so I really needed to kind of bust it. And honestly, I had some ongoing business, so I had a little bit of funds that were kind of closing in December to sort of keep me going. And really, I have a pretty big database from my years at Xerox. So I really worked that hard. For, the winter months, I had a lot of lunches, a lot of coffees, and just a lot of genuine interaction with the people that, I had left behind. And that has turned out to be really, really beneficial for me. So, those people started popping back up, kind of spring, summer. And since then, I've gotten a good portion of my business from those people. And it really is just, I don't have a ton of time to spend just, I guess what you might say is like typical like hours of lead gen. But I try to reach out to as many people in a genuine way as I can on a daily basis.
Okay. So what does a typical day look like for you? I know
Well,
that
let's see. At least one child is up before 6 a.m. every day, probably both of them by about 5:30. So my day starts pretty early. And I mean, both twins. The baby it's hit or miss. So the day starts around 5:30, a lot of coffee. I usually turn on my computer first thing in the morning if the boys are watching TV, and I get done any, kind of contract stuff. If I can preset any emails that I know I need to set for the day, if I need to upload anything, if I need to fill anything out and then get it ready to go for the day, I'm doing that like 5:30, 6 o'clock. Probably around 8 o'clock in the morning, it becomes, I guess, unmanageable to do work anymore. So really what we've been doing and what I've been doing is just, I'm playing with the kids and try to make it through the day. I will do work during the middle of the day if I have time, if I have to. They go to bed super early. They're in bed by 6 o'clock, and I pick back up on my work again at, 6 o'clock in the evening. So I'm a mornings and evening kind of worker.
Okay.
And during the day, it's literally, at least quarantine Sarah, is what I need to get done, and that's all I'm focusing on during the day. So I'll set kind of a to-do, after I after I end my morning work, for the 4 or 5 major things that I have to get done during that time where we're with the boys, and I try to bang those out when I get a little bit of free time.
And are you juggling with your wife working as well?
Yes. So she's working full-time at RIT. So
Okay.
she's got conference calls and Zooms and work and emails and things to manage. She's also running an essential oils business, so she's doing that. So we've kind of got a lot going, and we're trying to, at least during this time, schedule like, if she needs 2 hours in the morning, you do that, and then we'll switch. So she took her time this morning. She had some work emails to catch up on, and now I'm gone for 2 hours. Then we come back and kind of tag team everybody, and just, if somebody's got to step away and do something, we do it. And, we're making it happen. It's not easy, but it's going.
Yep. Yep. So I think you answered probably part of this already. Somebody put something in the group chat. How did you start getting your clients early on? You said by really forming connections and really being purposeful with coffee and lunches and things like that. Was it challenging to grow your business while working full-time on another job?
It was pretty difficult. I think my first year I maybe did 3 deals. The next year I did maybe 10. And I've really been able to ramp up since not doing Xerox anymore, because I have this extra time to reach out to people and do the sort of the marketing and the things that I wasn't doing when I was at work. So yeah, it was a little bit challenging to do both, but I learned that I could do 3 deals a month and still manage work, but it was getting kind of ugly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say probably 80% of my business comes from my sphere. Maybe 75-80% comes from my sphere. Like, I get a lot of referrals from them now too. And I have a very small amount that's, just internet leads or open house leads or things like that. So that's something that I'm trying to focus on as I go forward, as sort of those converting leads into clients.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So have you, okay, so during quarantine, things look a little bit different. You're not able to go
Mhm.
out for coffee and things like that, with regards to touching on your database. So what have you done differently, like during this time?
I haven't been mentioning real estate for the last like 60 or so days. So I've just been reaching out to people and just asking them how they're doing, and just having conversations with them. Past clients, past people that I've worked with, friends that I haven't connected with in a while, just to kind of touch base and check in and see, you know, how it's going.
Yeah.
And I had a woman that I used to work with at Xerox. I worked for her probably, I don't know, 10 years ago. Right before quarantine hit, we happened to have one lunch that was like 20 minutes long because I had a crying baby the whole time. And her and her husband ended up selling a house in Fairport and buying a huge house in Fairport. So, I spent probably half an hour with somebody to reconnect. And it ended up being, probably an $800,000 deal at the end of the day.
Very nice.
Um, and now I have my friend back.
Right. Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Did you find it difficult, like, so people knew you wearing one hat at Xerox, right? Like they
Mhm.
knew Sarah, like the Xerox Sarah. So how did you get them? How did you gain their trust? To think of you now as a realtor. Was there any transition, or I guess
Uh,
in speaking to some of our new agents, that they don't have the confidence and they feel new. And so was there a transition, or how did you handle that?
a little bit of one. I think that my background at Xerox and what I did before helped a lot. But I think you can kind of mold anything that you used to do into real estate, right? So this is like a herding cats project management type of business. So if you've done anything that's like that, it's very similar. Um, so I think what I was doing before definitely helped ease the transition, and people knew me as real estate and as contracts. So that made it, I think, a little simpler for me. But I think you can sell anything that you did before to make it to make it flow.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
it's a people business, right? So do people like you, and do they enjoy working with you? Because that's a lot of it. You're going to spend a lot of time with these people. They kind of like you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you have a specific type of system that you use for nurturing your database? Like, I don't envision you the type of person that just kind of throws a bunch of numbers up in the air and picks these people. Like, how do you have a system?
I
Things like.
I I do an alphabet thing. So I'll, if I don't often have time to make phone calls, but I do, because there's a lot going on in the background, but I do a lot of texting, a lot of Facebook Messenger. And I will just go through the alphabet. I will pull up my phone and I will start with the A's, and I will just bust out and get into contact with as many A's that show up when I, pull up a text message or pull up a phone, um, you know, just to get the conversation going. And I'd like to say that I'm more organized than that, but that's pretty much what I got going right now. And it seems to work. Just
Yeah,
going
no, absolutely.
letter by letter.
So are you able to do you have anybody on smart plans or anything like that in command, or you haven't even dove into that yet?
I haven't done smart plans. I've been adding a lot of people to the neighborhoods. So I've been doing a lot of that. But no, I've got to get more into command. And I started using it for listings to see about the Facebook leads, and I did get a couple, so that was a good thing. And I've got a couple listings coming up, so I'll probably be trying to do more of that and command the social ads.
Right. Had you done open houses prior to the pause?
Yes, I really like doing open houses because I love strangers. I love talking to strangers, and I found I have a particular lender that I work with, that's a very good friend. We have a pretty good banter back and forth. So I had started doing open houses with him, and we're actually really pretty good at converting people at open houses because he'll send them to me, I send them to him. We've got like a really nice sort of back and forth that we do with people.
Nice.
Um, I had him pre-qualify a guy at the table at one of my listings in the South Wedge. He didn't get that house, but we ended up finding something different for him. So I've had a lot of success with having a lender at the open house with me to kind of help steer people in the right direction.
Yeah.
You need a realtor, look at her. And I'm like, you need a bank, look at that guy.
Right.
So yeah, it's worked out really nicely. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out in the future. It's going to be a little bit different, obviously. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So do you do any client events, client appreciation events? How do you
I have
show,
not
how do you
yet.
love on your people?
How do I love on my people? I definitely do closing gifts and things. I send referral gifts. I usually send, if my life is not super chaotic, hey, you've been in your house a year. Here's a gift card to Home Goods or something like that. And I just generally just try to keep in touch with them and make sure that, everything's still going well. Do they need anything? I haven't gotten to the point yet where I've done any events, but I'd like to do that in the future, I think.
Okay. So what does a typical, do you do the same closing gift for each person, or do you make it personalized for that specific person or family?
I personalize pretty much everyone. I have some typical things that I'll do for first-time home buyers. There's some really nice things on Etsy with like their name and the latitude, longitude, the location of the house. So I've been giving sort of a framed gift like that. If I can find out if they like a particular wine or beer or something, like I will give that. I had clients close on a really, really big deal. She was very, very pregnant. So for that one, I ended up paying to have somebody clean the house professionally for them before they moved in, which is a fairly substantial gift, but she was literally 9 months pregnant, and, they have sent me other referrals. And I keep in touch with them.
Nice.
So it really depends on the person
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the clients and what I think they might need or use.
Awesome. Very awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you think your average price point is?
I think I'm at like 190, something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Average sale price.
So so you've been in the business, remind me again,
About 5 years, give or
5 years,
take.
and how many full-time?
Like a year and a half.
A year and a
I think
half.
it'll be 2 years in November. My anniversary is the end of November.
Okay. So have you capped prior to this, or is this your first time capping?
I did cap last year, but it was probably just a month before my anniversary. So this year, I think I did it in a little less than 6 months. So it's actually I've improved quite a bit between last year and this year. So that's pretty exciting, and
Yeah.
it's definitely attributed to having the actual time to dedicate to doing this.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what advice would you give to new agents starting out? Like, what are some best practices, tips and tricks of the trade that you've learned along the way?
Honestly, I think it's about people. For me, it's always been about keeping in touch with the people that I know. Reminding them that I'm in real estate, and just making it known. And I've never been one to be a sort of pushy, do you need to buy or sell a house, but just genuine conversations, and it inevitably will turn to real estate at some point. I've had a lot of success with LinkedIn, just publishing listings, even celebrating myself, which feels very uncomfortable, but I've capped, top 100 agents, just putting those things out there. That's where all my connections are from my Xerox world.
Okay.
The last referral I got was a woman that is an attorney at Xerox that I used to work with, and she sent her husband to me because she had seen my posts on LinkedIn. So I think it's staying present with, sort of the people that and just continuing to reach out with them.
Okay. Okay. So had you been a part of the launch program?
No.
I
don't think so.
I don't remember. Maybe we didn't have it back then. I'm not sure. We had the PC coach or something like that. Sorry, I retract that question.
I don't know.
Yes, we did not have that.
I did some Ignite classes.
There you go.
I don't know.
There you go.
I don't remember yesterday. But yeah. So yeah,
That's
but
good.
now I'm working with Lisa, so we meet on a monthly basis, which is really nice to have. I find having accountability really helps for me, because I do have a lot of other things going on, and if I stay connected, if I attend classes, if I talk to people, then I'm much more motivated and incentive to keep on sort of moving. I
Yep.
can very easily get distracted, so I got to stay connected and stay accountable to some people.
Sure, sure. So, okay, so tell me, what does a typical accountability session with Lisa look like? So, in what
Um,
ways does she hold you accountable?
Well, I think we're kind of stepped down a little bit with quarantine, Sarah here, but I do have a pretty like robust set of goals and numbers that I want to meet for the year. So we talk about those. I have some personal goals that I want to achieve. Again, I've kind of scaled back on some of it. I'm doing pretty basic stuff right now just to kind of get through this time. But you know,
Survive.
there's a yeah. I mean, there's a certain number of appointments that I need to hit every month, to make sure that I'm going to meet my goals for the year. So things like that I'm tracking and talking about with Lisa.
Okay. So, what are your goals for the year? Are you willing to share? And if not, it's okay.
Sure. My goal is to do $12 million.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for me, that basically, based on my average sale price, that looks like at least 6 appointments that I keep every month. I'd love more listings than more buyers. I happen to be a little more buyer heavy right now, though. It's a little challenging with my family life to do buyers. So I'd love to step up the listing end. But yeah, my goal is $12 million for the year. And I do spend some time every morning writing that out, and sort of writing out some affirmations, which I notice keeps me sort of motivated too.
Okay. Okay. So, so let's backtrack to when you were first getting into the business.
Hmm.
Anything you wish you knew 5 years ago that you know now? Anything you might have done differently?
Mm, I wish I would have done it a longer time ago. But
Full time?
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think my experience at Xerox has really helped me be comfortable with all of this. So I don't discount that in any way. I do wish I would have started earlier. And I wish I would have taken the risk to leave my job earlier. And I feel like I'd be much farther ahead than I am now.
Okay.
Um, I was so afraid to leave that paycheck.
Yeah.
But I mean, it has worked out 100%. So I guess, more risks, taking more risks. You got to put yourself out there to get something back, you know?
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Hmm.
So, what does the future Sarah look like? Let's say 5 years from now. What does that look like?
5 years from now, Sarah is not sure. At some point, probably in the next 1 to 2 years, once I get to a certain point, I'm looking to hire an assistant. And I would like to bring on a buyer's agent at some point in time, and that's probably a little bit farther down the road. So yeah, maybe a team.
Okay. Okay. Well, 5 years from now, you'll have what? Twin 8.5-year-olds and a 5-year-old, right?
Yeah, life should be super easy, so that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, totally fine.
Anything. So, what do you do to take care of yourself?
A lot of therapy. Um, I actually do. I have a really great therapist that I meet with weekly, and I take that time for myself every single week. On Mondays from 4 to 5:30, I am 100% unavailable to anyone for anything.
Okay.
No matter what is happening in my home, no matter what is happening in business, I will not take calls. I will only do that.
Okay.
So that's really important for me. And I do my wife and I get to spend some portion of the evening together. So we both do work until a certain point, and then we sort of stop and actually spend time together and sort of relax.
Yeah.
Um, so that's pretty much all I can manage at this point. I'd love
No.
more me time, but it's all I got, and I'm going
Nope.
to take it.
That's fine. It's important
Yep.
to carve time when you can, for sure.
Yep.
Juggling,
Hmm.
trying to juggle everything. Have you read any books or anything that you found helpful, not only for business, but maybe for mindset or spiritually or anything?
I just finished reading all 3 Glennon Doyle books, which were excellent, especially for working moms and for people with families. I think they're really, really useful books. And I haven't really gotten into much of anything else lately, but I did take the time to read all 3 of those in very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got the Millionaire Real Estate Agent that's half finished that I'm always wanting to finish. So that's next up on my list of things to finish reading.
Yeah. I recently discovered Audible, and
Oh
so
yeah.
my treat, because you know, I struggle with sitting down to read versus I should be doing this or I should be doing that, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
do I want to exercise or read? So I tried my first one and started listening to it, and I could only listen to it if I walked or ran. And so you know, it was kind of a nice. I didn't feel
Yeah.
like I had to give up something, but yet I was gaining something at the same time. So
Yeah. I like that.
you
Especially
know.
now that we can leave the house for the car rides and stuff. It'd be good.
Yeah. So you're getting some comments here in our chat session. Basically, the overall feeling is that you're realistic, raw, and puts your feelings right out there. You don't make excuses and is always accountable for her activities, even when she can't get to them. We all have to
Yeah.
give ourselves grace and feel good about it. So
Yep.
kudos to
I'm
you. So true.
trying to take a lot of that now. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely, I'm a real person. I am me, and I'm not fancy. I've never been fancy, and I'm never going to be. So I put myself out there, and if people like it, great. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work.
Right. Move
But
along.
yep.
Right.
If
Yeah.
if you can't take it, then we probably shouldn't be working together anyway. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, is there something that you would like to talk about that I've missed? You know, I know I didn't, I don't
Mhm.
normally prep my people. I just kind of feel like we're gonna, you know, we have a conversation and we're just kind of
Yeah.
chit-chatting over coffee. You know, anything that you would like to talk about that you know, feel
Um,
is something that is unique to you, or um, something you feel is about most importance, you know, especially to our new agents that are out here. Um,
um, I'm trying to think of anything different. I mean, just people, and honestly, I've found, and I get this comment a lot from people. Actually, the guy I met this morning told me that I'm one of the nice ones. Um, Being nice to other agents is really important. I think some of the things that you can do to help you and to help your clients that are just really super basic: clean contracts, correct contracts, and being nice to your co-broker.
yeah,
It's pretty basic game theory that when everybody's nice, everybody wins more.
sure.
When everybody's mean to each other, then everybody loses.
Yeah,
You're always going to come across those people that are not going to be nice, and maybe you're nice, and maybe you lose a little, but you can hold your head tall and know that you weren't a jerk.
right.
And it's just, if everybody's pleasant with each other, it really makes things a lot easier. And these are people that you're going to have to work with in the future. So, having a poor attitude or getting mouthy with somebody or being rude to somebody, it isn't going to help you or your client.
Right.
So I've really found that being kind to other people and to other agents is really important in this business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you
Um,
can do that without sacrificing your clients.
sure.
It's completely possible.
Sure, absolutely. So, somebody had a question here. So, is there anything that you've incorporated into your business during COVID, and anything that you might keep in the future?
I really like I've been doing any of my buyer consultations and my listing appointments with Zoom.
Okay.
And I really like that. I especially like it for buyers, to have sort of that conversation. It's been really useful to me because I can pull up the documents on the computer. We can go through everything together. It's really made sort of the buying process, I think, easier for my people, going through all of that stuff in the beginning. And it's easier for me to manage with my schedule, that, I can schedule it at 7 o'clock at night instead of having to, drive to the office at 7 or meet somebody at a Starbucks. So I think going forward, I'll probably keep those appointments as virtual to the extent that I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So have a lot of your people been more difficult with, the virtual showings, or how has that worked for you?
Um, my business was pretty slow for probably about 45 days. So the last 2-3 weeks or so, things have really started picking up again. Most of them are not super comfortable doing the virtual thing. Most of my buyers, I have a handful that were willing to do that. That were, willing to look virtually and go see it the next day and decide if they liked it or not. But most of them have kind of been sort of hanging back, waiting for just that right one to come up.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Somebody's saying that they closed a deal. Actually, Rebecca said she closed a deal with you, and you're awesome to work with, transparent and honest. And then
Oh,
Jeffrey
thanks.
seconded that. So, yes.
I like you guys too. Never again. Furniture. Never again.
Aw. So yeah, I mean, that's no furniture. I don't know what that
No,
means. That's an inside joke.
we did a deal, and before we were both like, we are not getting involved in this furniture brokering, and then we both did, and it was a mess at the end, but we fixed it. We made it happen. Everybody was happy.
Oh, dear, 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 dear. Don't
So
you hate
there's some
that?
advice. There's some advice. Either put it
Yeah.
on the personal property addendum, or just let them figure it out themselves. Don't get in the middle. It's the worst. Someone's going to change their mind, and you're going to have a table that can't go anywhere.
So true. So true.
Don't do it.
Mary, do you have anything to add?
No, I've been asking questions all along. I think that Sarah is awesome, and I'm good.
I actually just started remembering who Sarah was at the beginning of this year. Because being in the lower level, I didn't get to see everybody. So one by one, I had to start remembering names. So Sarah was always Sarah with the glasses.
Yep, that is me.
Yeah, you're such a doll. So yeah.
Oh, thanks. This has been fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I really, really appreciate you taking out time out of your busy day. And I think it's just important to celebrate the fact that you've capped, and that's an awesome achievement for you. And you're an inspiration to others, and keep up the good work, girl. We're proud of you.
Thank you. This feels nice. This is a nice way to start my day. Look, I'm in a pond. You're being nice to me.
I know.
This is
Where are
great.
you?
I love it. I have an inspection across the street. I'm on Cranberry Pond right now in Greece.
Oh, how fun! That's nice.
It's lovely. Yeah, it's really lovely. This is like super nice.
Yeah.
I might not leave.
I was going to say, inspection ran way longer than I thought it was going to be.
Right? I might get punched when I get home, but it might be worth it. I don't know.
By your wife or children or both? Or all three?
Maybe everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all righty, Sarah. Well, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out of your day. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.